All right, guys, let's try starting school once more. Today we're going to talk about a few of the basics when we're working with numbers and variables, order of operations, evaluating and simplifying expressions. So for order of operations, you might be familiar with please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. That's all well and good, but you have to know what they mean. The P stands for parentheses, but really it means any grouping symbols. It could be parentheses, straight brackets, curly brackets, fraction bars, or even absolute value bars would be included in grouping symbols. Excuse, that stands for exponents, so that's an exponent. Yeah. And that does include fractional exponents, so that could be like square root. That's also an exponent. The square root of a would be a to the 1/2 power. And then we have my dear. These go together. My and dear go together, and Aunt Sally go together. We have to do them in order from left to right. So we do multiplication, division, left to right. Because in reality, there's no such thing as division. We're just multiplying by a reciprocal. So dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by 1/2. So multiplication and division are the same thing. We do it left to right. Aunt Sally, that's addition and subtraction. So we do that from left to right as well. So multiplication and division, addition and subtraction. So you have to know which order to do things in, otherwise you'll get all kind of crazy mess going on. And now if you use your calculator, which I think that's, no, that's Word. There it is. It does do order of operations for you. So if you type an expression in exactly like you see it, it'll pop out the right answer for you. But we're going to use the calculator minimally today. We're going to do it mostly by hand, just so you can see what exactly we have to do. We're going to go in order. So P stands for parentheses. That's where we're going to start with our grouping symbol. I'm looking at this problem here. I see a set of parentheses. That's the only grouping symbol I see, so I'm going to do it. 11 minus 2 cubed. Well, in here I see 2 cubed. So the very first thing I have to do is look inside the parentheses, and inside I have to do order of operations again. 2 cubed is 8. So this is actually 11 minus 8. So I'm going to do that because it's still in parentheses. I just simplified the parentheses a little bit. 11 minus 8 is 3. So now I have a single numerical value I can drop to parentheses. So I'm going to put everything else. 29 minus 3 plus 6 squared divided by 4. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the very beginning. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Do I see any more parentheses? I do not. Excuse, do I see any exponents? I do. Right here, 6 squared is 36. Remember, that's 6 times 6. So I'm going to simplify that. No other exponents. And again, we're doing everything from left to right. 29 minus 3 plus 36 divided by 4. Again, let's go through our order of operations. Parentheses, none. Exponents, none. Multiplication, division, oh, right here. So now, before I can subtract or add, I have to divide. 36 divided by 4, that's 9. So now I have 29 minus 3 plus 9. And again, we have to go from left to right. So we do 29 minus 3 plus 9. All we have is addition and subtraction left. So we're going to do that from left to right. 29 minus 3, that's 26, plus 9, which is 35. We don't add before subtracting. We do addition and subtraction from left to right because subtracting 3 is the same as adding a negative 3. So it's the same operation. I'm not going to do all of these, but I will do this one for sure. If you're not familiar with this symbol, these 2 vertical bars are the absolute value bars. That means the distance that number is from 0. So if we look back, absolute value bars are also a grouping symbol. So that's one of the first things we have to do. Do I have any parentheses? Yes, I do, these absolute value bars here. So the absolute value of -8. How far away from 0 is -8? It's 8 units. So this is just going to be 8. 4 cubed minus, because of this negative right here, 8 times 6 divided by 16. So let's see, parentheses, none. Exponents, I got this 4 cubed here, that's 64. No more exponents, so I'm just going to bring everything else down. All right, parentheses, none. Exponents, none. Multiplication, division, yes I do. Let's do it from left to right. So I have this -8, or 8, however you want to look at it, times 6. Well, 8 times 6 is 48. And we have the subtraction symbol. Subtracting, negative, minus, it's all the same. So you can look at this as -8 times 6, and that's -48, or you can look at this as 64 minus 8 times 6. And again, it's going to be -48 or -48. Same thing. Okay, let's bring down this, divided by 16. And this 64 is over here. We haven't done anything to that yet. We have more multiplication division right here. 48 divided by 16, that's 3. So 64 minus 3 is 61. And we're done. We have nothing but numbers in these things, so our answer better be one single number at the end. It's not, keep simplifying. Now, I'm not going to do all of these. Let's look at interesting. Let's look at number 6. I will post all of these for you if you want to have some extra practice, but for now, let's just do this. We've got a couple sets of parentheses and an absolute value bar. Again, all of these are grouping symbols, so we're going to do everything inside of them first. We can look at each set of grouping symbols as a separate problem. So I have in this set of parentheses 9 minus 15. Well, that is I'm going to keep this parenthesis here, -6. Reason I want to keep the parentheses is because we're doing something to that expression. We're squaring it. We're also multiplying it by, if I look in here, 7 minus 2 squared. Well, 2 squared is 4, so that's going to be 7 minus 4. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, I had exponent here, so I had to do that before subtracting. Division is also a grouping symbol, don't forget. Square root of 49 plus 5. I'm going to leave that alone. There's no parentheses, nothing to group down here. Minus the absolute value of 5. Well, that is a grouping symbol. And again, we can look at them as separate entities. The absolute value of -5, well, if I count -5, -4, -3, -2, -1, and then we're at 0. So really, to go from -5 to -4 is 1. So you really count that as 1. Anyway, 5 units. That's how far it is from 0. Draw a number line. Okay. Now, we still have this grouping symbol here. We're not done. So to save space, I'm going to look at this as 7 minus 4 is 3. So that's going to become a 3. -6, and now if we look at it, we're done with our grouping symbols. We can't do anything inside of these parentheses here because it's just -6. There's nothing to do there, but we're squaring it, so -6 times -6 is 36. And let me show you on the calculator real quick. If you try and type -6 squared, what do you think is going to happen? Let's find out. You get -36. Oh, but why did I just say -6 squared was positive 36? Well, let's actually look and see what's going on here. A negative symbol, remember, that's the same thing as just multiplying by -1. So what this is actually reading, what the calculator actually reads this as is -1 times 6 squared. So what you need to do is tell it that negative symbol is actually part of the number that's being squared. And that's why I left it in parentheses here. If I do that, I do get a positive 36. And again, you can type these expressions entirely into the calculator and it'll pop it out just fine. Times 3. I have another exponent here. Square root of 49 is 7. And let me just, that's 5. Okay, remember, division bars are grouping symbols. So I have the top and the bottom. Let me do those now. So if you have a division bar, you can assume this kind of thing's going on. Just simplify the top and the bottom before you do anything else with them. 36 times 3, that's 90 plus 18 is 108. Divided by 7 plus 15 is 12. Minus 5. A little extra space here. Let's see, does that go 9 times? It does. 108 divided by 12 is 9. Minus 5, because again, this is division. We do that before we do addition or subtraction. And we come out with a 4. All right. Go through the process each time for your order of operations. Just read this to yourself every time. You do it one step, read it again, starting at the beginning, till you're done with all the grouping symbols, and go through all the exponents, etc., etc. All right, let's look at evaluating. So to evaluate an expression, we are plugging in numbers. That's what it means. We plug in 3 for A, we plug in -4 for B, we plug in 8 for C. So whenever you're plugging in numbers, I'd highly advise put it in parentheses. Let's have some more room here. So anytime you evaluate something, instead of A, I'm going to put parentheses. And what is A? A is 3. Times. Instead of B, I'm going to put parentheses. What is B? -4. And don't forget it's squared. See, if I didn't have parentheses and I already typed that in the calculator, I would have gotten a -16 instead of a +16. And C is 8. Parentheses are absolutely useless here, but do it anyway. That way you can see what needs to be done. And if they don't need to be there, get rid of them. I have 3 grouped by itself with nothing to do to it. Drop the parentheses, that's it. So let's look. Nothing grouped, nothing grouped, nothing grouped. Okay, all I have to do is go to the next step. Because remember, these are understood to be grouped. So we need to do the top and the bottom separate. Exponents, I got one of those. So again, I'm just going to drop that unnecessary set of parentheses. 3 times -4 squared is 16. Unnecessary, so I'm going to drop it. And I am going through the steps piece by piece. You could have actually put the 20 here, since this is a whole separate piece. They're grouped separately, so you could have done this as 20 just now. 3 times 16, that's 48. 8 plus 12 is 20. All right, so we have a fraction. If you get a fraction, make sure it's in simplest form. If you don't know what simplest form is, the calculator does. It's 12/5. You could be like, oh, hey, 48 has a 4 in it, 20 has a 4 in it. 48 divided by 4 is 12, 20 divided by 4 is 5. So this was 12/5 would be my final answer to evaluate this expression. So evaluating this, I got 12/5. And again, it's more of the same, so I'm not going to do every one. Let's do something interesting with a fraction, maybe. Okay, let's do this one. We only have one variable, but we're doing multiple things to it. So just take your variable, replace it with whatever it is inside of parentheses. 2 times 1/4 squared. This parenthesis right here represents the m. 9 times 1/4. So I'm looking, no more grouping symbols. Let's go to exponents. I'm squaring a fourth. That's 1/16. Now, I have it in parentheses. You could have just as easily put a dot for multiplication. If you have parentheses without anything else, right next to a number, that means no plus sign, no minus sign, nothing else, it's understood multiplication. This is being multiplied to this expression here. So you could write it either way, and you have to understand it both ways. So now I'm multiplying here. 9 times a fourth is 9/4. Again, please get a calculator. This calculator, well, not this calculator, the calculator I have on the site. It's not named this. This is the European version of it. But this is what it looks like. This is what you need to have. 2 times 1/16 is 1/8. Plus 9/4. And if we do that, we get 19/8. Mixed numbers are a no-no. Leave it as an improper fraction. That's how I want it. This is the answer. We're done. How do I know that was 19/8? Because I can do basic arithmetic. If you can't, use a calculator. Let's real quick talk about simplifying expressions. So that means combining like terms and distributing, then combining like terms, all that good stuff. So let's look at an interesting one or two. So I'll do 15 and 20. Okay. So first off, let's see what our like terms are. I have 16x here and negative 7x here. They both have x's, and they're both x's are to the first power. X and x squared are not like terms. Don't try and combine them. Then I've got some plain old numbers here and here. So that's what I'm going to put together. 16x and a minus 7x. Whatever sign to the left of your number is what that number is. So this whole thing right here is a negative 7x. You can look at it. So 16x minus 7x is 9x. Or 16x plus a negative 7x is 9x. Whatever makes you happy. Negative 11 plus 10 is negative 1. Oh, we're done. That's it. Nothing else. That's simplify. Moving on. Here we're going to distribute first. Remember we talked about that last time, which was just a little bit ago. Negative 16x minus 8y. You've been doing this since my wife's class, so you should be familiar with it. Negative 3, distribute. Positive 15x plus 6y. Now, let's decide what our like terms are. I got some x's here and here. I got some y's here and here. If I put that together, that's negative 1x or just negative x, your choice. I don't like writing ones because I don't have to. And negative 8y and 6y makes negative 2y. Done. That's all there is to simplifying expressions. So hopefully this wasn't too terrible. Again, we have added half an hour to the days. So at the end of the days from 3 to 3:30-ish, all your teachers should be available for office hours if you're an at-home learner. If you're in class, ask a question, but make sure you watch the video first. Goodbye.